What's that? No, I'm having issues with this microphone. I started the YouTube live stream and it's being goofy, so I'm just trying to. Interesting. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. It's just it's cutting in and out. My whole signal. Well, that's the one that's actually going in and out right now. So I'm kind of concerned here. Sorry about the delay here. Test.
Is that too dark, Eric? You think this will be too dark?
It might be a little dark on the camera, but I understand why we might want to do it this way. In the future, I might just get a light that we prop just on the speaker so that we can keep the screen nice and well lit. That's probably what we'll do. Let me double check here and see how dark it is. Yeah. Okay. No, we're good. This is actually not too bad. All right. And then I'm going to switch to this mic. This one's working nicely. So if we have to clip it to anybody else, we could just pass it on over to them. But yeah, we'll get this guy out of here. I'll have to figure out why when the stream starts, this one starts getting goofy. All right, let me get him loaded up. All right, we're gonna switch this on you. Do you want to clip this on somewhere comfortable, or you can also put it on the podium if that would be more comfortable. And then,
in case I start wandering.
Yeah.
Feedback that we had was a large screen. It's like more difficult to see.
I appreciate you being flexible on the fly here.
Oh, it's okay. And then I probably just flick something there.
Yeah, but then it just has that little clip. It's not the greatest, but it'll do.
Yeah, if it's not loud enough, you tell me. I'll move it higher or lower or whatever's necessary. But it looks good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
While you're under your slides, and then after you're done, we'll move up to the.
So is this thing already on? Is this on?
Yeah, it's already.
But you'll
I'll
turn
mute it on.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Oneida Comprehensive Health Division Community Meeting. Our topic tonight is University of Wisconsin-Madison, who's going to present on the stroke disease in Oneida Nation. So they'll be here. We do have some things that we'll take care of first. My name is Sid White. I'm the Assistant Division Director at the Comprehensive Health Division. There's my contact information, my telephone number, my email. I always have an open door policy, so I'm always looking for feedback on your health division, because we do provide services for you, the patient population. Some housekeeping. Meeting format is that we're going to stream this live. We have our digital technology services that will also post it on YouTube. And then we'll have questions that we can look at towards the end. The restroom locations, we have our men's and women's right out the doors here. We do have a light meal, so if you haven't had a meal, just raise your hand, and then we'll have some of the staff bring you a meal. We have wild rice, corn soup, and strawberry drink. So our program leadership will be available post-meeting, just for any interactions, any questions, feedback, comments, so we're always open to that. We do have a presentation QR code, so we do have this entire presentation built into the website, so sometimes people say, hey, I want to follow along on my phone, or hey, I have my tablet. You can scan the QR code, and it will load up the presentation for you. So I'll pause if anybody wants to do that. I'd like to introduce our division director, Debbie Danforth. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Glad to see all of you here and see the great turnout. And during our heat wave that we have going on now, so we're glad to see that you're all here. Thank you, Sid, for all the preparation, making sure that everything is set up. So, Sid, a hand. So we always like to start out with the health division. Basically, our vision, our mission, our values for the health division. So the vision for the health division is that a progressive, sustainable health system that promotes GQ Wali Hoda are our ways. Our mission is that we provide the highest quality, holistic health care to ensure the wellness of our Oneida community. Our values for the health division are responsive leadership, safety, communication, culturally sensitive care, trust is the foundation, and respect. We do have 5 principles of the nation building, which are transformational leadership, strong governing systems, cultural relevancy, strategic outlook, and sovereignty. And then the nation building themes are use relevant data for decision making, integrate Oneida values into our healthcare, strengthen our healthcare collaboration, create a sustainable health system, and advance community engagement. So this next one, I want to go ahead and just give an announcement. You have a flyer on each of your tables. Tomorrow there is a health and wellness values and a reason for back here is the person that's going to be running that. And basically what you're going to be doing is information for our blood pressure. Our mission, they're going to have the highest quality, Oneida trail guides, the giveaways, and more. And we'll be having another values for tomorrow. Our next leadership, you're going to hear tonight. Communication, Garth Buckley is going to talk about what our connection for our Oneida highest quality, Oneida trail guides, about health giveaways, stores, and our so values for tomorrow may you're all looking hard, and we'll also talk about our life really bad about our life and there's so values for tomorrow you're all working hard, but we'll also talk about our life really bad about our life and there's as an LPN. So she's been with the organization for 47 years as of December 5th, 1977 was her start date. So congratulations. Our next one is Karen Krause. She is the social services social worker, and she works here within the nursing home. She has had 36 years of service as of January 18th of 1989. And if you wonder what Karen does, you'll probably see her leaving like at 7 o'clock this evening because she's here all the time. She takes care of all of the admissions for the nursing home and then works with all of the residents here within the nursing home to coordinate any care or services that they might have. So congratulations, Karen. And next is Diana Hernandez. Diane is the manager for the business department. Diane started with the nation on December 19th, 1991, and has celebrated 33 years of service. Congratulations, Diane. Our next one is Linda Triba. Linda Triba is the manager for the activities department here within the Anna John. She started with us on January 5th, 1992, and is celebrating 33 years of service with the nation. So congratulations, Linda. Our next one is David Larson. David Larson is the director of the continuum of care for the Anna John Resident-Centered Care Community. Dave joined us on January 3rd, 1995, and celebrated 30 years of service. Congratulations, Dave. Our next acknowledgement is Kim Mahoja. Kim Mahoja is a certified pharmacy technician. She joined the nation on November 13th, 1995, and is celebrating 29 years of service. So congratulations, Kim. She is the senior dental assistant. She joined us on December 6, 1998, and celebrated 26 years of service. Thank you, Catherine. And our next groups are for 20 to 24 years of recognition. The first one is Linda Stops. She is a patient accounts representative at the CARS. Neva Archikid is a community health aide. Barbara Camps is a dental hygienist. Margaret Valencia is the purchased and referred care. Our next ones are Pepin Steckler for the laboratory, Sid White, assistant division director, Lynn Cornelius, supervisor for patient accounts, Rob Hammett, patient accounts representative, Sheila Baumgart, patient accounts representative, Cindy Morin, purchased referred care, Gertrude Jones, certified nursing assistant, Tina Platt, patient accounts representative, Monica Montgomery, registered nurse. Our next group is 15 to 19 years of recognition. Luetta Fowler, community health nurse. Phyllis Shaleen, community health nurse. Frances Humpner, dietary aide. Lori Turpian, registered nurse. Joan Oxley, medical records. And then let's give us a round of applause for all of these individuals that celebrate their years of service to the organization. Okay, our next portion is the educational placements. The division commitment to learning and development, and we would first like to recognize Gabby James, UW-Madison physician assistant. She is working with Stephanie Everhart in PA. Gabby here. No? Okay, Abigail Schultz, Bellin College family nurse practitioner, and she is working with Katie Farley, one of our nurse practitioners. Is she here? There she is. Next is Jennifer Kilmer, Spring Arbor University psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. And I know she's here. Want to come up? And our next one is Dr. Myrma Bobriel, resident community health. Is she here? Okay. Gabby Thomas?
Oh, no, she's not here.
She's not here. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's give them a round of applause. We're glad to have them. Okay. Hours of operation. The survey was the perception of the operating hours. From January to February of 2024, we had a total of 486 respondents that responded to our survey that we sent out to the community. We wanted to know what you as the community want to see in terms of extending the hours of operations for the health center. Normally, we were previously Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. When we did the survey, we discovered that there was a demand from the community that they wanted us to look at extending those hours of operation. And the most common days were Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday that came from the 486 respondents that we received. So the hours of operation, we currently are in phase 1 of the rollout for the extended hours within the medical clinic. Those hours are, we've added a 3:45 appointment, we've added 4 p.m. appointments. We are now open every Monday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so we're working on trying to see what kind of response we get from the community. Does the community like the extension of the hours? Because a lot of times people will say, if you work till 4:30, you get home, you don't feel good, and then you want to get into the doctor, well, we're closed. So we're looking at trying to stay open longer on Mondays to see what the response is from the community and how we move that forward. Our next phase that we're looking at will be to expand throughout the whole health center. We do have the majority of the health center right now working 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Mondays. And then what we plan to do, that started on January 6th of 2025, and what we plan to do is to look at each quarter what kind of response we're getting from the community. So we really want your feedback. Tell us what you think. We're going to start collecting that data in April, and then we'll look at what the data tells us and how we move forward, and whether or not we start to increase the number of days to expand the hours again. But we want to look at the data and see what the community has to say for us first before we make those decisions. So thank you for sharing those decisions a year ago. We just wanted to give you a little bit of an update that we are listening to what you tell us. So next, we're going to have a little bit of an update on our medication-assisted treatment pilot. And
Hello.
Mary, are you going to come on, or Dr. Lane?
Hello. I'm going with fake. We're just gonna.
This is Mary Crazel, and we acknowledge Mary this morning for 30 years of service here with the organization. So congratulations. Thank you.
Both of these.
All right, and this is Dr. Lane, who's our medical director. So we just wanted to share a few minutes that we are piloting the medication-assisted treatment program. And what that is, it's to help those with opiate use disorders. It's a medication that can address the physical difficulties that one is experiencing when taking opiates. So we have started as of October 1st. It's really dark out here. Yeah. And since October 1st, we have had, there's currently 8 that are still in the MAT program. We currently have 14 of those utilizing the Vivitrol medication. We have,
And then we've had 5 transfers from other facilities into the MET program here. And I feel like those numbers are a little small. You guys would know. I know we've had over 40 patients, close to 50, about 50 patients that have come through the program so far.
So we cited nine students when you count the first 2.
and I guess what we really want to let the community
well,
know
trainings.
that what we're piloting is working. It's
Yeah,
saving
but I say
our community
participated in
members from having to go
I
out
mean,
to either comprehensive community treatment, which is in Green Bay, and then we have Clean Slate that we those are the 2 other programs that we were using prior to us doing this in-house. So with helping them get to us, we don't have to do any of those referrals, and it's timely. It's timely. So if we see somebody that comes in through safe-day substance abuse care over at Behavioral Health, we can get them coordinated with the health center to begin the MAT program within that same week. It's timely. So what we've done is we're saving lives. We still have, 9 people that are still actively engaged. Out of those, maybe a little bit more, because I'm not sure if these numbers are all complete. But if we just save one life, we're doing great work. So we just, if you have anybody in your, yourself or your family, there's two ways that you can get into the program. You can walk into behavioral health Monday through Friday, starting from 8, as long as you're by 10:30. We do walk-in care for substance abuse services. We can get you started with getting the referral over to the clinic. Or if you're currently seeing a provider at the clinic, ask them about it. They can tell you a little bit about it, get you connected with Crystal Peters, who is one of our psychiatric nurse practitioners, as well as Seth Moore. Please wave so people know who you are. Because they're the ones that are doing that initial induction for the patients, and then they're transferring them over to behavioral health to see Dr. Freak, who is the psychiatrist, the addiction psychiatrist over at behavioral health.
And I definitely want Seth and Crystal to stand up because they've done a fantastic job piloting this program, laying the foundation for this program. If you guys, I just want to get you guys a round of applause. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? You know, that was a pretty quick overview. Thank you.
There's a bunch of cords on the floor.
Unceremonious.
Yes. So Dr. Lane is our medical director. She's also a pediatrician with the health center, and she's going to give an introduction here.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very excited to introduce our new pediatrician. This is Dr. Valerie Hay. She's actually coming from Vanderbilt University in Tennessee. She's originally from this area. I mean, you can speak a little bit more on this, but she's board certified pediatrician for over 20 years. And I'm very happy to have another pediatrician on board. It's tough to be solo pediatrician. It's nice to have a team member. And I don't know if you have anything to add.
I grew up in Illinois, but then I moved to Wisconsin in 2011 and have been in Wisconsin for most of that time, except for about a year and a half, 2 years in Tennessee. And I figured out that I was a Midwesterner, so I'm not a Southerner. So I came back to Wisconsin. I love it in Wisconsin, even though that's not where I'm from. I think that's kind of where I'm going to stay. So I'm super excited about working here and helping Dr. Lane and all the general practice providers with pediatric patients. So I'm really happy to be here.
Okay, so thank you, everybody. Tonight, we have an excellent presentation. Dr. Robert Dempsey from the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health is the chair of the Neurological Surgery Center at UW-Madison. He has been working with us for how many years?
6.
6 years, doing some partnership and collaboration with us on the stroke prevention and research. And so he is going to present tonight. Let's welcome Dr. Dempsey.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see if this is this microphone loud enough.
That's not an amplified microphone, it's just for the screen.
Okay. I'll try to speak loudly. Can you hear me in the back? No. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I'm Dr. Robert Dempsey, Bob Dempsey. I've had the honor of working with the people here for the past 6 years. My background is I am from Illinois. I'm from Chicago, and I've been a neurosurgeon, brain surgeon for over 40 years. During that time, I became an expert on stroke and stroke treatment and stroke prevention. You can't really, you'd much rather prevent these diseases than anything else. I've been very busy in that regard with research, et cetera. But I also do quite a lot of work with indigenous populations worldwide. That'll be good. That'll be great.
Can you hear back in the back better?
Let's try this. Can you folks hear me if I use this? That's better? Okay, and then that's what we'll do. Can you hear it now? Better and better and better? Okay, we should carry this around every day. That's the way to be. Okay, thank you. I really want to say that this is one of the most meaningful things in my life, and that's because of you all. So what I want to cover is a lot of things today. When I came, I said I promised to give reports periodically to both the leadership and to members of the nation, but mostly to the patients who say, how are we going, what are we learning? And this is a great opportunity because this is a very exciting time as we're just beginning to see. We knew about the importance of stroke in the tribal health, but we are beginning to see that we can change that for the better. And in doing so, you have educated me, you've taught me more about stroke. So tonight I want all of us, including me, to learn a little bit more about stroke, what it has meant in our lives, in our parents' and families' lives, why it has been so important, what we're learning about how it happens, but we're learning how we can change that. And that's something I can't be more grateful to you folks because you've taught me that, and that's important. Let's just see here. Advances here?
Right here.
Okay, great. That's good. Okay. So I want to start by thanking a few people. First of all, Debbie and Sid, who from the administrative and from welcoming have been incredibly helpful and incredibly kind to allow us to come, to make mistakes and to forgive them as we try to learn. I want to really be grateful to Melissa and NACHIP. That's something you should know a lot about, this idea that an organization exists for the education, especially medical education of Native American students, is key. And I'm very proud that my school, the University of Wisconsin, leads the nation in number of Native American medical students. And 9 trainees, students, doctors, young doctors who are Native Americans have participated in this study on stroke and the change it. And that's our future. And that's our future, knowing more about stroke, but also who's going to care for all of us into the future. I want to thank Amanda, who is just, we found the real solution is in this idea of health coaches. That's what I'm going to talk about, because nobody ever stopped smoking and lost weight because the doctor said, stop smoking, lose weight, and walked out of the room. That doesn't happen. It happens when we understand, so that's my job to be a teacher, we understand what's going on with their health, and then we, the participant, take charge of our health, and then someone that they relate to, like a tribal coach, really to encourage them. That's really been the secret. I want to thank people that have come up, especially Dr. Mitchell, who's been invaluable because she's way nicer than I am, and everybody says they're nice people because of Dr. Mitchell and old what's-his-name who comes as well. And I just want to thank you all mostly because this is your program, and it's been very successful. I hope it to continue to be very successful, and that means I need your advice as to next steps. So we'll start by just saying, what's a stroke? And that means when some part of your brain stops working because of a blockage of blood or a rupture of a vessel. So that's a pretty simple definition, but it changes our whole lives. Because what you notice is you can't talk, you can't see, your arm or leg doesn't work, or you can't feel a big area. That's a stroke. But what you may not notice, and what is equally important, is you may be losing your memory from small strokes. You may be losing your creativity, or the things that make you independent, like decision making. That is the real scourge of small strokes. So when the elders came to Madison and said, these are our 2 concerns, people found me because that's what I was doing research on. It was just fortunate that I'd been working with different groups and tribal groups in Africa and the Americas, et cetera, and Asia. And so it was something I was thrilled to be part of. Why does this happen? Because our brains are really quite tiny. It's like 3% of us is brain, but a full quarter of the blood and the energy is used by that little tiny organ. That's how important it is. All that exercising that they do to make big muscles is nothing compared to your brains working every day. And it's very dependent on that energy. Any blockage will cut that down and it'll lose function very quickly. And those neurons are what make us real. One of the major features that we're going to talk about tonight is this called atherosclerosis, or vessel blockages, because we can delay, we can fix that, we can delay it. I actually did studies many years ago on what does that have to do with aging, and the answer is everything. Because as our vessels begin to block, those organs, be it kidneys, heart, brain, or legs, begin to lose function. And that blockage is happening in these vessels. In general, if you look at people that have no risk factors whatsoever, this should happen when we're about 75 or older. And then you can go ahead and live to 90, 95, but you have to be a little bit lucky, unless I can do something to delay that. I think I can. But when it starts happening when you're 65, 55, 45, that becomes aging of your body way too early. And strokes are really just the most obvious manifestation of this problem. That's what we want to develop. We know that same with hearts, because those are the vessels, and brains, it's all about smoking, blood pressure, diabetes, diet, and lack of exercise. These are things we can control. We can't control those genes we inherit until my students get better treatments for genes. But I can control the proteins they make. Those things like enzymes, etc., vitamins, we can change and control those. But this is the parts that we can control in ourselves to decrease our risks and try to make our bodies as healthy as possible, as healthy as they should be. And when we think about what happened in society when we went from rather healthy eating and exercising to rather sitting at a computer or a screen and eating processed foods, it begins to make sense that we are prematurely aging ourselves. This is where coaching is going to come in handy. So what can you do? These are obvious things, but how do I get people to do that? Exercise, eat properly, don't smoke, get checkups. Again, nobody ever did that because Dr. Dempsey said so, okay? And the first time I began to realize that, I became a better doctor. Because what doctor means is teacher. That's the word from Latin for doctor. And I thought, oh, that's it. My job is to get the patients to understand their own body, their own processes, their diseases, what they can do about it, and then they will. Because they're good people, they want to take care of themselves, and if they spread the word, that would be successful. So that's always been my philosophy, and you'll see that's a lot of what's been happening here. Because when I do global neurosurgery, and I do, I'm famous for teaching neurosurgery in Africa. I went to the border of Afghanistan a couple months ago to try to get health care to women there. I teach in Bolivia, I teach in Haiti, I teach in Vietnam. Global means all of us, including Wisconsin. So when I began to look into this, I said, who in this United States of America has the highest risk of stroke in America? And it's not African Americans, it's not migrants, it's not people in cities. It's Native Americans on reservations, especially in the northern Midwest. And that really said, we got work to do. So let's do it. What happened, of course, was the elders came to Madison and talked to the chancellor and said, we're particularly worried about stroke, but also the loss of our memory. Because if our elders lose that, we lose our language, we lose our traditions, we lose our cultures. And they looked me up and I said, well, that's what I'm trying to work on. Let's do this together. So lots of trips up here, lots of just listening. And that's the first thing, listen. Because I made that mistake in South America, I made that mistake in Africa, where I thought I knew what people needed. That's nonsense. Doctors need to listen to the patients. The patients will tell you. And so we did a lot of listening, and they talked about those things, such as avoiding strokes, not like their mother or father had, avoiding losing their memory. So, okay, can we partner together to do something about it? And first we have to see what are about these risk factors, obesity, overweight, diabetes. How common are they? And can we at the same time do something about it? And that's really what we've been doing. And the report I'm giving today and tomorrow at the health fair is really, really good news about a really bad problem, because we're proving that you can fix it. And all I'm doing is coaching. So we established a partnership, and it's really a partnership between the stroke program, which fortunately I co-run at Madison, and the health division. And the idea was to really focus on those things, preserving the memory and avoiding the strokes, which take away our independence. I mean, you have these people who they're 60 and they've worked their whole life and they're looking forward, in a few years I'm going to retire, take care of grandchildren, and the grandchildren end up taking care of them. That's wrong. That's backwards. So can we determine what causes it? Can we change it? And again, we were fortunate enough to partner with these wonderful people you see here, and the group got bigger. And one of the important things were NACHIP, which said, you know, let's involve our native students in this. They have a stake in this. They need to continue with this, and they've been wonderful. And then let's involve our health coaches. And that was perfect, because nobody listens to Dr. Dempsey, but everybody listens to Amanda, including me. And I'm up here, and she's got me walking around the health division, around the parking lot in between patients, and I've gotten healthier, and it's really true. But there's lots of people in this team. There's some brilliant people, and I've been bringing them up just to introduce them. Tomorrow we'll introduce a new one. But we have people who are experts on blood work, and they look at the blood work and say, you all know what an A1C is. It measures your diabetes. But these people in Madison who I work with in my laboratory can look at the little proteins that your body makes, which make you diabetic or make you hypertensive, because I'm trying to figure out ways to stop those and to measure them. And they've been helping. And they've come up here for the health fairs, Dr. Wesley, some of the people who look at cognition, and this wonderful lady, Dr. Wilbrand, who organizes our lives and makes sure everything is by the rules and by exactly proper, and all the data, it goes through the health division, and everything is cleared, and we incorporate the native students in this project. And that's very important, because we all have to stick up for each other and make sure it goes forward. So we presented this project, this concept of us working together before the pandemic in 19. And we got funding for it, as we've had, and we'll talk at the end about the funding and how we want to continue that. And we began to say we need education and we need information, and health fairs are the place to listen. And then COVID shut everybody down, okay? And it gave us time to think and plan and develop online teaching, which was okay. It kept us going, but as soon as possible, we were back with the masks and so on, working out of the place where they were doing the COVID tests, the old church down the road, and began to, in a very safe environment, talk to patients, begin to earn trust, really, and begin to work. We came up monthly. And this started as soon as the reopening took place in 21, although still under COVID rules. And the health fairs and assessments allowed us to really define what's a stroke. Well, that is where you have a permanent loss of function of your brain. What's a TIA? That's a temporary loss of function. But unfortunately, even though your arm got stronger, you may have lost some cognition. And the testing begins to show that that pays a price. So we want no part of TIAs. And we began to document the diabetes, the hypertension, what vessels were blocked and where. And we began to say, we have people who can really quantify that. That means begin to tell you just how good or how bad things are and say what particular treatment should we focus for each problem. And this is what we've been doing for really those years since 21. The health and wellness fairs, the expo, the visits to the schools, because what we found immediately is those risk factors in the elders were so present that we immediately said we have to get funding to look at the young adults. And guess what? They're aging their vessels very prematurely. So the next step, in my opinion, and that's what I've come to ask you about, is the children. We need to be having projects in the schools that talk about how you take care of your health, how you take care of yourself, about your diet, about avoiding drugs, about exercising, and how important that is in your culture. Because the more I came, the more people talked about that loss of culture. And when you think about it, there was a time when the tribe was exercising outdoors together, eating natural foods, which had a great mixture of grains and meat and fish, etc., which is really quite healthy and not processed food. Can we bring that into healthcare? Why not? Why not bring your culture into your healthcare? So that became the real goal. And that's became what made the health fairs, the Move It, just walking things, the groups working together. And that's what a coaches would be. The first study was in the elders, and 120 elders volunteered to participate. They wanted to know what their risk of a stroke was. Maybe their mother had had one. Maybe they had had a warning sign. And we began to say, okay, we're going to look in great detail, and we're going to try something. We're going to try to really, really coach. And that's half. The other half, we're going to do everything that I do in Madison, which I don't think is good enough. And so we did. And we looked at lots of things. That's why we've been up here, usually 3 days a month, seeing patients as thoroughly as possible. And we would first get a very good health history of you, of your parents, of your family, of your diet. And we're learning more and more are important. Who do you live with? What's your support network? Are you involved in activities? What's your blood pressure? What's your weight? What was it before? And either, the problem with weight is you either have to get taller or lose weight if you want to get healthy. Most of us aren't getting any taller, so we better take care of the second thing. And we also looked at cognition. How well did you solve problems? How well did you do the paper tests? One of the most important things we did was the ultrasound. The ultrasound is a very beautiful test because it's painless, harmless. It uses sound waves to draw pictures of your blood vessels. And you can see the red blood going through the second picture there and the blue blood in the vein going back the other way. And we can look at those blood vessels and say, how healthy are they? Are they blocking? Do they have blockages? Because really 30 years ago, I used this tool to show that if people were getting partial blockages of cholesterol, and we tried this experimental drug, we could shrink some of those plaques. And that drug is now called a statin. So that's back when I was doing research just at a different university. But we could show the flow, we could show the blockage, and we could measure it because we had learned before that if we really concentrate on something successful, we can the blockages, or at least keep them from getting worse. That's profound. So we had something we could measure that could give them a real good idea how they're doing. And there's lots of parameters. This is Dr. Mitchell's expertise, and she's fantastic about it. And when she does the test, she explains what she's doing. And she's just a good person. So more and more people said, it's okay, let's try this. We look at the full health assessment. The American Heart Association helps us with that. We look at your cognition, which really is a test of our cognition, right? And how well you're doing, because we want to see, are we getting better or worse? We all are going to have little changes in our memory as we get older, but we want it to be gradual and natural and not accelerated. And then the blood work. We were going to draw blood because we had to follow the A1C, the diabetes markers. We had to follow the cholesterol markers. And then I asked permission of each of you, could I please look for new things? This is what science is, new things that may be causing harm. And because I had been studying back in Madison, what do fat cells make? Because we were finding a lot of obesity, people who are overweight. Now you and I used to, until this study, until you all taught me, used to think that fat cells just were dead weight that wore out our joints. Well, that's true. Or just a big bulk that you have to push the blood through so you get blood pressure. That's true. But what we found by looking at the blood here, that those fat cells were making proteins that make you sick. I mean, it's a vicious sort of cycle. They actually accelerate diabetes and high blood pressure. And those proteins are what we found. And this is Dr. Wesley's work. We found that the average person at that age was overweight. We found that the average person, even if they thought and knew and were going to get treated for diabetes, still had an abnormal A1C. We found that the average person had half of the time been diabetic. These are way too high, and we found that 82% of the elders had blockages. That's way, way too high. So every day we'd come and I'd say, well, I'm glad we're here. That's what it means. That's where we are. Okay, let's do something about it. And the blood work was fascinating because when we looked at that blood work beyond things like the A1C, we looked at 56 proteins that we had picked out because we knew these made your vessels inflamed. Now, if my tendons get inflamed, they hurt like crazy. So I began to think, well, if my blood vessels got inflamed, maybe they developed blockages. That was my theory, and you folks proved it. And you proved it because we found that 26 of those proteins that we said, let's check these, were elevated here far beyond what they were in a group we took from elsewhere in Wisconsin. 26 of them. And these all we know they have functions. The one on the left accelerates diabetes. The one in the middle causes you to gain weight. Can you imagine that? Fat cells make a protein that makes you fatter. So that's why we're trying to lose that weight. And other ones accelerate inflammation. These are related to gender. And these are related to blood pressure. And these get worse as we get older. Okay, I don't want to stop aging. I want to get older, but I don't want it to be harmful. And now if we know, because of you, because of your work, we now know what to work on. So I've got a whole lab of people back in Madison who are working on what do I do about these proteins and what do I do. This just summarizes them, but in general what it means is that each of these organs, the heart, the kidneys, the blood vessels, the brain, are damaged by those proteins being made by those cells. Okay, well, what can we do about it? The answer is quite a bit. And that is when you begin to look at the coaches and what they've been doing. Those people came to their appointments. They were given tribal programs about exercise, often as a group. That's what was the culture. Get back to it. Cultural nutrition. We haven't done that well enough yet, but that's my next step. And after 2 years of coaching, guess what? Significant loss in weight compared to people that just had doctors doing their best. So doctors C+, coaches A+, okay? They changed their LDL, which is a measure of cholesterol. They changed their A1C, which is a measure of diabetes, and their glucoses got better. Other things that got better are these proteins. These are two of the key ones, and they got better just by having people coaching, and these are from the tribe, not a doctor in a white coat saying, change this, but rather you all saying, let's do something about it. And this is yay coaches, no question. Doctors, C+, coaches, A+. Yes, I agree. Now, this showed that we can change things. But we then began to say, okay, let's get younger. Let's work with the younger people. And we're in the middle of that right now. And I can tell you, they have the same problems. It's just happening at too early an age. So what I need is a lot of advice about what to do next. I'm going to explain what we have done and how that all fits, and what we want to do in the future. So first, identify, validate these blood products we're seeing. What do we learn about that? How do we avoid TIAs? Get therapies based on that, and then prevent, and prevent by really emphasizing the coaching. I mean, this is really important because it means we can go write the government and say, yes, this works. We need to fund more coaches. That's really important in this world, and it can become even more important. Emphasize healthy living, which is culturally significant, in culturally significant ways, and build that strongest two-way relationship. So, sorry. Want to explain what we've done so far. The first study was in elders. It's fabulously successful, but not good enough. And the main reason is the exercise is working on their health, but not getting the weight down enough yet. We haven't done enough for nutrition, in my opinion. The next study, which is, and we're in the middle of, is on the young adults. Tomorrow I'll be presenting to leadership the third study where we will, for a small group of people, be doing MRI scans to see how does the brain work and does it get better with those treatments. I won't.
Okay.
I won't. It's considered bad form to fall on your face here, so. But the two studies that I want your help with is the children, the families, the living units. That's to say, what do we do next? And I strongly feel that anything we do next should emphasize culturally significant nutrition. Utilize the farm, the orchard, the herd, and the traditional recipes to replace the processed food, and do it in a living unit or family unit, because we have to get to the children as well. One of the studies I'll propose to Dr. Lane tomorrow involves us including them, because Dr. Mitchell actually has ways to look at even children's blood vessels to see if they are stiffening too soon, because they've been starting the bad diets, even at age 5 and 6. So I'm very, very proud to be here today. I'm very proud that we're showing you such fantastic improvement with what I think is common sense in getting back to culture. But we're able to prove scientifically why it works. And that will, I hope, bring more funding for more projects. But more than anything else, more than questions, I need advice from you all. I think we should be looking at nutrition. I need to, if you say, does that make sense? I need to also hear, just as we heard at the beginning, what's important to you. Because what we've heard and what we've been trying to fulfill is avoid stroke, preserve memory and cognition. I think we're showing great possibilities for benefit, and we don't intend to stop here, but rather to build throughout all ages. So I want to thank you very much for inviting me, because that's the whole reason I'm here. I have to be invited, I have to listen and partner. if we're going to get successful. But I really would like your advice and questions now. So I'm going to stop and ask for questions about where we are and your advice about where you think we should go next. So thank you for inviting me tonight. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I have a question for you. What can I do for nutrition? Give me your advice. Yes.
Let me ask one question. Family history. We all have our ancestors and parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and so forth go back. Certain families have patterns, generation after generation, the same health issues. How do you address that? How do you address family health histories?
It's hugely important. We're only beginning to catch on to that. But it's hugely important because it's a combination of what you inherit and the society, the living unit you're in, and their health. I believe people's health affects the people around them. Healthy breeds. Healthy encourages healthy, not healthy encourages not healthy. But in answer to your specific question, there are so many types of strokes, and we now know blood pressure leads to one, cholesterol leads to another, diabetes leads to a third. If we can see what that should be the focus in that family. In other words, your parents and their health should direct us into what we advise for you. And we can do that now, getting better and better. And some things like the blood work will make it very specific in the future. Right now we're modifying diet and exercise, but you can see just as before we had statins, cholesterol was a much bigger problem. Now it is in better control. The same will come with the others. So I consider your family history essential for us to tailor treatment for you. Yes.
Just nutrition, I'm going about like fluoride in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, does that hurt memory? Or is it, some say it's at safe levels and some say, and what should you do? Should you try drinking distilled water?
These are great questions. The question was about fluoride in water and the question about the quality of water. And the answer to your question really, I'm going to use a different example of a chemical that you have to get the right dose or it's toxic. Too little, it's bad. Too much, it's called oxygen. Okay? So people can become toxic from too much oxygen. Little babies prove that at birth. And all of us get very sick with too little. We believe, and that's only looking at what we know so far, that there's a safe dose for fluoride. And we know it tremendously helps children's teeth. And we know that cavities cause infections, and infections cause loss of hearing and other things because they spread. So proper dose is probably okay, but never believe blindly what experts tell you. That's why we have students to correct me, right? So what we're hearing is it's time to revisit the issue and study it, and not jump to conclusions, but study it carefully. Because too much is harmful, we know that, but that's also true of oxygen. So finding a safe, I consider, if we think of fluoride as a medicine, you got to get the right dose. Great question. Other questions? We want to compare French fries to white corn? Now there's a concept, but yes, please.
How long are you going to be doing these studies?
Well, my hope is until I drop. Obviously, I have to get funding. So one of the things I'm doing, and obviously I've been remarkable that we've had 3 grants to fund us so far, which will take us into 2026. Tomorrow, I'm going to present 3 grants to the leadership to saying, do you think these are good ideas? Do you support us submitting them? I'll submit them to the American Heart Association and to the U.S. government. Because we're not certain how much government will be funding, going to the foundations makes sense as well. The other place that I'll go to is the university for support. I must say that, especially on this study of the elders, the last year was volunteer. Basically, we weren't being paid, but that's okay. So there's a need, there's great people. I'd like to go till I drop, if we can. I'm not that young, so it's not.
I guess we should ask how you're feeling.
I'm feeling pretty good today, thanks. I want to know how I'm feeling, it's pretty good today. No, I'll be honest with you, I've been sick for 1.5 years, and it's been a struggle, and you keep me going. That's what got me up here. And I'm happy to say that the problem I've been having is getting better. And I told it I'm too busy to worry about that. You're going to have to get better. So it's been getting better. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
I imagine you've been thinking about plans for the youth. Can you tell some of those plans?
Oh, yes, ma'am. And the first thing is I have to listen a lot, okay? We've been in the schools. There's lots of things I didn't expect, etc. And what I'm trying to devise is a program where we would be listening at a family unit where we have 2 generations in each group. And it could be a grandmother and a child and a parent, etc. That would be good because I'd like to see how that interacts with what they eat or how they exercise. And that's something I think the coaches could be very helpful. So these are the ideas I'll present to leadership. And I think it's important. But once we begin to say, children, we understand we need more expertise. And we need, new pediatricians in the health division, which is wonderful. But I believe prevention is far better than, trying to fix something after it's broken. And if we're going to prevent this, we need to change it from children on up. And the best way the strength you have is this wonderful culture, and this culture of being together and working together. And this is just a matter of saying, let's focus on that. Let's focus on our children. And I think nutrition is a good way to start. Great questions. It's tough work. You give me a lot of tough homework. Yeah. Okay. Yes, please.
My daughter's Amanda, and she'll confirm it. We've talked a lot about, obviously, as senior citizens, as we get older and being susceptible to stroke. But my niece was only about 26, 27 a couple of years ago, and she had a stroke. And to this day, I talked to my brother, and she still has some cognitive difficulties, and she had it at a young age, and I'm trying to figure out why her as a young person, she came with a stroke. How do you encounter very many young cases?
I gave this lecture yesterday. And when I teach our students, I say, one of the reasons I want you to learn about stroke is because I start from the ages. And children actually can have a stroke at birth. Children can have a stroke throughout their ages. The types of strokes change. And as I begin to the elders, we're working on vessels that are clogging. But in children, the vessels can tear, they can clot for other reasons because their blood is different, or they could break. And all of those are strokes in children. And I know and teach every kind, but that's why we were talking before about tailoring it to the individual patient and see. There are families that inherit problems with their blood vessels, and my friends who work on the genes are beginning to figure out the genes for that. And yes, we are beginning to focus treatments on those people, which is very reassuring. And so I have a large clinic of young people that have premature strokes. And it is a devastating disease. So that's why I want to work with the children here. Not just to avoid that stroke that will happen when they're 55, but also the rare people that have it earlier. Great question. Now, I'm a shy person, so I don't always no, I do always raise my hand. But some of us are shy, so I'm going to stick around after for anybody who has questions, and I'll be at the health fair tomorrow as well, okay? This is important, and remember, my main job is to listen, and then say, okay, well, that gives me an idea. How about together we do something? That's how we've gotten this far. It's been phenomenal 6 years from my career. I've done a lot of stuff, so thanks for letting me come. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Dad. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dempsey. Okay, so we have no other questions. I just want to go over real quickly again. Our core values within the health division, core values are the wheel, the use of the good words about ourselves, our nation, our future, what we know, all of us are family, our fire, our spirit within each one of us. The heartfelt encouragement of God to each of us, compassion, caring, identity, and the joy of being. The openness of the good spirit and the mind. And the strength of belief and vision as a people. So with that, I'm going to end this for tonight. Y'all go. We are going to be around here if you have any questions or any comments that you'd like to leave with us. And we do have a meeting survey, and this is the QR code that we'd really like you to complete for us so that if you do have any comments, recommendations, questions for future, please let us know, because this is your meeting. We want to make this what you want to see for the community and for the health division. So, y'all go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And like I said, we'll be here if you have questions. We give Dr. Dempsey. Thank you, everybody, and stay warm.
Thanks so much. That handheld seemed to be the perfect answer.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
So I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah, if we have access, I'm not sure where that stays, but well, I'll see if we can track that down if we don't have it there at the expo. It's nice, yeah, thank you.